The Nokia N-Gage isn't exactly the first platform to think of when it comes to the Resident Evil series, but it did get a Resident Evil game. It's not a port of an existing game, but instead the game is based on the 2008 animated movie Resident Evil Degeneration. Unlike the live-action movies, the Resident Evil animated movies take place in the same timeline as the games and quite often have characters from the games appear as the main characters. In this case we have Leon S. Kennedy and Claire Redfield, the main characters of Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil Degeneration did get an iOS port featuring updated graphics, but as at the time of this review, I had no means immediately available of playing, capturing or recording footage of it. There is also a different mobile phone version of the game, but today we'll be focusing on the N-Gage version. Of course, for those of you familiar with my content, this isn't my first rodeo when it comes to weird, obscure mobile Resident Evil games, so you'll be in for a treat. There will be spoilers regarding the movie, but I'll refrain from discussing most of the key points of it for those who haven't seen it. Resident Evil Degeneration is set in the year 2005, 7 years after the Raccoon City outbreak covered in both Resident Evil 2 and 3, and a year after the events of Resident Evil 4. The game is set in the United States in the fictional city of Harvardville, where a T-virus outbreak has occurred at the city's airport. To make matters worse, a plane with infected passengers had crashed into the airport, causing further widespread damage. The game has you playing as Leon S. Kennedy, a federal agent and one of the survivors of the Raccoon City incident, as he infiltrates the airport to locate survivors and to evacuate them safely. Helping Leon in this mission remotely is Ingrid Hunnigan, a fellow agent who acts as Leon's support, much like she did during the events of Resident Evil 4. The game has you following Leon as you explore the airport, take out zombies and complete objectives. But is the game any good? Find out in The Good. I think the game does a pretty good job of adapting Resident Evil 4's gameplay onto a mobile platform. Resident Evil 4 is a well-known contributor to popularising the over-the-shoulder third-person gameplay, and it's worked in Degeneration's favour. The game even has quick-time events just to keep you on your toes, and other mechanics from Resident Evil 4, such as shooting the enemies in certain places to stun them before delivering a kick to them. The game is split up into 11 chapters where Leon must go between different parts of the airport while dealing with the zombies that lurk within, and trying to find key items to access more of the airport, or solving a problem that if left alone would make the outbreak even more catastrophic. I really did like exploring the different areas of the airport, and you do get to see a lot more of it than in the movie, especially with Leon exploring through a crashed plane and even underground sections. Leon can also pick up items that he can use to heal his injuries, ammunition for his weapons, money that he can use to buy items, new weapons, expand his inventory or upgrade his weapons, and treasures that he can sell for extra money. Leon can do this by finding certain soldiers scattered throughout the airport and interacting with them. Green and yellow herbs are the only type of herbs found in the game, with green healing Leon a little bit, and yellow increasing his maximum health. When you complete each chapter, you're shown a results screen detailing how many times you were killed, how many times you healed, and how quickly you completed the chapter. Interestingly enough, the game even has a mini mercenaries mode where Leon can be dispatched to certain parts of the airport with preset loadouts and has to shoot and kill as many zombies as he can for points within a certain amount of time, with a combo building up the quicker he can defeat them in succession. Time can be extended with pickups in the area, and Leon can find ammunition and grenades from enemies that will help him keep killing zombies. The game also has a New Game Plus mode where you can replay the game with the weapons and upgrades you finished the game with, which can make Leon stupidly powerful and makes the game easy even on harder difficulties. From a gameplay perspective, I think the game's pretty well made considering the platform. I do like the callback to the other Resident Evil games. With the obvious reuniting of Leon and Claire referring to Resident Evil 2, the tyrant bosses that Leon has to fight are also from other Resident Evil games. You have the T-001 Proto-Tyrant who debuted in Resident Evil 0, the mass-produced T-708 Tyrant from Resident Evil Code Veronica, and the T-103 Tyrant in its Super Tyrant form first seen in Resident Evil 2. However, and spoiler alert, you have been warned, none of the Tyrants are in the actual movie, so this is all new content. I appreciate the game changing the variety up by adding the Tyrants and zombie dogs into it, as the latter wouldn't be out of place in an airport. With that though, we reach the end of what's good. So let's look at what wasn't so good in The Bad. The game is very loosely based off the events of the movie. While certain key characters are there, the game makes very little mention of other characters from the movie. For example, when Leon infiltrates the airport in the movie, he infiltrates with Special Response Team members Angela Miller and Greg Glenn, and they mostly stick together in the airport. While you don't see them in the game, they're at least acknowledged with Leon telling Hunnigan that they've gone on ahead to survey the area. But after that, you never hear of or see them again, with even Leon forgetting when he meets up with everyone and tells Senator Davis that he was the only one sent to rescue them. Considering that Angela is a key character in the movie, you would expect to at least see more of her, if at all. When Leon meets up with Claire, Claire tells him that Rani, a child and a niece of a TerraSave employee, is sleeping in the storage room. There is no storage room to access, and Rani is never seen throughout the game. As a matter of fact, the airport section is only the first 30 minutes of the movie, and the movie is an hour and a half long. I sort of wish that the game covered the second half of the movie, because with the efforts that was put into the airport section, I think they could have padded out the area that's visited in the second half of the movie, and even give Claire a playable role since she's barely seen in the game. Even having that second half as a part 2 of the game would have also worked too if it was going to make the game too big for the N-Gage or iOS. I just feel there was a lot of lost potential of what they could have done with the game. It's also the only thing I really have to complain about, so let's wrap things up with the opinion. At the end of the day, Resident Evil Degeneration is a pretty solid 3D third-person shooter for the N-Gage, and I was pleasantly surprised how well it adopts Resident Evil 4's gameplay. While the game only covers what's effectively the first 30 minutes of the movie, or if you want to be more technical about it, about 12-13 minutes if you start when Leon enters the airport, the developers have padded this out to about a couple of hours by having Leon explore more of the airport and doing things there, as well as adding the tyrants and zombie dogs for a bit of enemy variety, which is pretty impressive all things considered. It is a shame that some of the characters were omitted from appearing in the game, but they at least mention them before never bringing them up again. I enjoyed the 2 hours or so I spent playing the game, and it was a good way to pass an evening. If you want to dabble with obscure, lesser known Resident Evil games, then I think this is one to look into, though you aren't missing a lot if you skip it. Better off to watch the movie anyway. So with that, it's time for my rating. I would rate Resident Evil Degeneration on the N-Gage low polyclear out of 10. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next Infinite Backlog review. If you enjoyed today's review, feel free to check out some of our other videos and subscribe for more. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram and our Facebook page. Once again, thank you for watching.